"We're here to talk about your hopeless caseload," Dad declared to everyone. Mom sighed, nodding pityingly. "Right then," Sister Clara gasped, staring at her phone. "Why is your face on Bloomberg's Innovators Under 30? The room fell dead silent. The rain came down like a judgment, hammering my Jeep's windshield as I navigated the twisting cliffside road toward my family's mansion in Camden, Maine. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the jagged rocks and churning Atlantic below. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, the tires slipping on the slick pavement. I had driven this route 1,000 times as a kid, sneaking out to watch the storms from the cliffs, but tonight felt different, dangerous, like the world itself was warning me to turn back. Then it happened. I jammed my foot on the brake as the curve tightened, but the pedal sank to the floor. Useless. My heart lurched. The Jeep fishtailed, skidding toward the guardrail, the drop to the ocean yawning beyond it. I yanked the parking brake, tires screaming, and the car shuddered to a stop inches from the edge. My breath came in sharp gasps. The storms roared, drowning out my pulse hammering in my ears. I fumbled for my phone, its screen glowing with a new message. "You shouldn't have come home, Ellie. I'm Eleanor Harper, and I don't scare easily." At 29, I'd faced boardroom sharks, government spooks, and cyber cartels trying to crack my company's defenses. But sitting there, rain pounding, with someone out there who'd cut my brakes, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Maine cold. Quantum Pulse, my AI cybersecurity firm, was about to hit the world stage with a Bloomberg profile dropping at 8 p.m. tonight, and someone close, didn't want me to make it to that moment. I checked the rearview mirror, half expecting a shadow in the storm, but saw only darkness. I popped the hood, climbed out into the deluge, and confirmed what I suspected. The brake line was sliced clean. Deliberate. No accident. I slammed the hood shut, rain soaking my thrift store jacket, and got back in the Jeep. Whoever did this thought they could stop me. They didn't know me at all. The Pierce mansion loomed ahead, its gabled roofs and stone turrets cutting a Gothic silhouette against the lightning. My family's ancestral pile, built by a banking dynasty that prided itself on power and perfection, stood as a monument to everything I'd rejected. I parked my battered Jeep next to Clara's Tesla and Dad's Bentley, the contrast almost comical. To them, my car was proof of my failure, a symbol of the reckless phase they'd been lamenting since I quit my DC cybersecurity job to found Quantum Pulse. They didn't know my company was valued at $3.5 billion, 0 cents, or that I'd just inked a secret Pentagon contract pushing it to $5 billion, 0 cents. They didn't know because they never asked, too busy mourning the life they'd planned for me. A corner office at Pierce Capital, a diamond from Charles, my ex-fiancé, and a future as predictable as their stock portfolios. I stepped into the storm, the wind tearing at my jacket, and my phone buzzed. Liam, my CFO, texted, "Bloomberg piece goes live at 8. You ready for the fallout?" I smirked, typing back, "Family ambush starts at 7. Perfect timing." His reply was instant. "Want me to send a chopper?" Tempting, but no. Some battles you fight in person. I checked my reflection in the Jeep's window. Dark hair pulled back, minimal makeup, a black blazer I'd scored for $10, 0 cents at Goodwill. Let them think I was scraping by. It made what was coming sweeter. The mansion's oak doors swung open before I could knock. My mother, Victoria, stood there in a Dior suit, her platinum hair flawless despite the hour. Her eyes flicked over my soaked jacket, her lips tightening. "Eleanor, you're late," she said, voice sharp as a blade. "Punctuality is power, darling." "By 3 minutes, Mom," I shot back, stepping inside. The foyer's marble gleamed under a crystal chandelier, its light casting shadows like a courtroom. In my world, precision means surviving, not just showing up. She didn't respond, just ushered me toward the living room, her heels clicking like a metronome. "We're all waiting. This is about your choices." Her tone dripped with the same concerned disappointment I'd heard for 2 years, ever since I walked away from D.C. and their dreams for me. The living room was staged like a tribunal. My father, Richard, stood by the massive hearth, his silver hair and tailored suit giving him the air of a judge. Clara, my older sister, perched on a velvet couch beside her husband, Nathan, whose crypto bro smirk hadn't faded despite his 3 failed ventures. Aunt Margaret, the family's self-appointed historian, sat in a high-backed chair, her pearls glinting like ammunition. They'd even called in the reserves for this one. I took the least comfortable seat, a stiff wooden chair facing them all, and felt the weight of their stares. This wasn't a meeting. It was an execution. "Eleanor," Dad began, his voice low and commanding, "we're here because we're worried about you. Your choices, your situation." He gestured vaguely, as if my life were a mess too pitiful to name. "My situation?" I echoed, leaning back. "You mean my company?" "Your hobby," Clara corrected, her smile saccharine. She tossed her blonde hair, her diamond earrings catching the light. "Love the jacket, Ellie. Salvation Army chic?" "Goodwill, actually," I said, watching her try to hide her horror. "Sustainable fashion. Very 2025. Nathan chuckled, all teeth and fake confidence. "Let's be real, Ellie. Tech startups are a graveyard. I looked into your sector. Saturated. No room for new players without serious capital. You're out of your depth." I bit back a laugh. Nathan, who'd burned through his trust fund on crypto scams, thought he could lecture me. Nathan, who'd pitched his latest flop to one of my shell companies last month and got rejected without knowing I was the one pulling the strings. I let him talk, savoring the moment. They had no idea what was coming. Dad cleared his throat, stepping forward like he was addressing a boardroom. 2 years ago, you had it all. A fast track at Sentinel Security, a Georgetown penthouse. Charles, he paused, letting the name land like a gavel. Charles, the hedge fund heir they'd practically married me off to before I dumped him to chase Quantum Pulse. And now, a rundown Jeep, a shoebox apartment, and this tech fantasy. "Fantasy," I repeated, my voice steady. Interesting choice of word. Before anyone could respond, a low groan echoed above me. I glanced up just as the massive chandelier 10 feet of crystal and iron swayed ominously. Time slowed. I dove from the chair, hitting the floor as the fixture crashed where I'd been sitting, shards exploding across the rug. My arm stung. A jagged piece had grazed me, blood seeping through my sleeve. Clara screamed, Nathan swore, and Mom's wineglass shattered in her hand. I pushed myself up, heart racing, scanning the room. The chain holding the chandelier had been cut, clean and deliberate. Someone in this house wanted me dead. "Eleanor, are you all right?" Dad's voice was tight, his face pale as he stepped toward me. "Fine," I said, brushing glass from my jacket. "Just another day at the office." I caught Clara's wide eyes, Nathan's clenched jaw, Aunt Margaret's frozen stare. One of them knew something. I'd bet my company on it. Mom recovered first, dabbing her hand with a napkin. "This old house," she said, forcing a laugh. "We'll have it inspected. Let's not get distracted." But her eyes darted to the ceiling, and I knew she wasn't buying her own excuse. The tension hung thicker than the storm outside, but Dad pressed on. "We're here to discuss your future, Eleanor. Your company's failing, and it's time to face reality. Pierce Capital can find you a position, something stable, with benefits." I opened my mouth to respond, but Clara's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then froze, her perfect composure cracking. "Oh my God," she whispered, then louder. "Ellie, why is your face on Bloomberg?" The room went still. Mom's wineglass, her second one, hastily replaced, hovered midair. Nathan snatched Clara's phone, scrolling frantically. "This can't be right. Eleanor Harper, 29, founder of Quantum Pulse, valued at..." He stopped, his face draining of color, $3,500,000,000. I leaned forward, my voice calm. Actually, that's outdated. We hit $5,000,000,000 this morning. Pentagon contract. Classified, but I'm sure you'll read about it soon. The silence was deafening, broken only by the storm's howl outside. Aunt Margaret sputtered. "That's impossible. You're driving a Jeep." "A choice," I said, standing. "Like living in the smallest unit of a high-rise I own. Like wearing this jacket to remind myself where I started. Quantum Pulse builds AI that stops cyber attacks before they start. We protect banks, governments, militaries. While you were busy pitying me, I was securing the world's networks." Mom's glass trembled. "But you never said anything. Why hide this?" "You never asked," I shot back. "You were too busy planning my wedding to Charles, my corner office at Pierce Capital, my perfect little life. You didn't want to know what I was building. You wanted me to fail." Before anyone could respond, a servant appeared with a tray of wine glasses, offering me one. The gesture felt off, too deliberate. I took the glass, but my instincts, honed from years of spotting digital traps, screamed. I glanced at Nathan, still reeling from the Bloomberg bombshell, and swapped our glasses when he wasn't looking. "To family," I said, raising mine. He downed his in one gulp, then coughed, clutching his throat. His face turned purple, and he collapsed, convulsing on the rug. Clara screamed, dropping to his side. "Nathan, someone call 911." Dad fumbled for his phone, while Mom stood frozen, her eyes locked on me. I set my glass down, untouched. The wine was poisoned, meant for me. I'd just turned their intervention into a crime scene. "Eleanor, what did you do?" Clara's voice was shrill, accusatory. "Nothing," I said, stepping back, "but someone here did, and I'm going to find out who." The paramedics arrived, sirens cutting through the storm, and Nathan was carted off, alive but critical. The police followed, asking questions, but I kept my answers vague. I needed time to think, to piece together who wanted me dead and why. My phone buzzed again. "Liam, Bloomberg's live. You're trending everywhere. Also, got a tip. Someone's digging into our servers. Watch your back." I slipped away from the chaos, heading to the mansion's library to clear my head. The room was dark, lined with leather-bound books and secrets older than the house itself. I was halfway to the desk when a shadow moved behind me. Cold steel pressed against my throat, a gloved hand pinning my arm. "Drop the company, Ellie," a rasping voice whispered, "or you're dead by dawn." I froze, my mind racing. The knife was real, the threat clearer than code. But I'd built Quantum Pulse from nothing, outsmarted hackers and spies. I wasn't about to fold now. "You're making a mistake," I said, voice steady despite the blade. "You don't know who you're dealing with." The intruder laughed, low and cruel, then vanished as footsteps echoed in the hall. I touched my throat, feeling the faint sting where the knife had pressed. My phone lit up with another message, this one anonymous. "The Pentagon knows what you're hiding. Step back or we expose everything." I stood there, the storm raging outside, the library's shadows closing in. Quantum Pulse was my empire, built in secret while my family scoffed, but someone, maybe family, maybe a rival, maybe both, wanted it destroyed. The Bloomberg article was just the start. By midnight, I had a CNN interview, a hacked server, and a target on my back. I straightened my Goodwill jacket, the one they'd mocked, and stepped back into the storm. They thought they could break me. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The storm hadn't let up as I sped away from the Pierce mansion, the Atlantic's roar fading behind me. My Jeep's headlights cut through sheets of rain, the wipers barely keeping up. My arms still stung from the chandelier's graze, and the memory of that knife at my throat in the library burned hotter than the wound. Someone, maybe family, maybe a shadow from my past, wanted me dead, and they weren't subtle about it. My phone glowed on the passenger seat, buzzing with missed calls and texts from Mom, Clara, even Dad, their desperation piling up like driftwood after a wreck. I ignored them all. I had a CNN interview in Portland, a hacked server to contain, and a company to protect. Quantum Pulse wasn't just my empire. It was my life, built from code and grit while my family scoffed. Whoever thought they could tear it down was about to learn I didn't break. The road twisted through Camden's cliffs, and my eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. A pair of headlights loomed, too close, too steady. I pressed the gas, the Jeep's engine groaning, but the car behind matched my speed, its high beams blinding. My pulse spiked. This wasn't a coincidence, not after the brakes, the chandelier, the poisoned wine. I gripped the wheel, veering into a sharp turn, tires skidding. The car followed, relentless. My phone buzzed again. Liam, my CFO. Server breach worse than we thought. Client data leaking, Pentagon's on the line. Where are you? I couldn't answer, not now. The headlight surged closer, and I caught a glimpse of a sleek black SUV, its windows tinted dark. I swerved onto a narrow side road, branches scraping the Jeep's sides, but the SUV stayed glued to me. A jolt rocked my car. They'd rammed my bumper. My hands tightened, mind racing. I knew these roads, every curve and dip from childhood summers. Up ahead, a logging trail branched off, barely wide enough for the Jeep. I floored it, yanking the wheel, and the SUV overshot, its brakes screeching. I didn't look back, barreling through mud and pine until the trail spit me out near Portland's outskirts. The headlights were gone, but my heart didn't slow. Someone wasn't just after me. Portland's skyline glittered as I pulled into Quantum Pulse's headquarters, a sleek glass tower fortified like a digital fortress. Security waved me through, their eyes scanning the shadows. Inside, the lobby was all clean lines and muted lights, my name etched discreetly on the cornerstone. My assistant, Maya, met me at the elevator, her tablet glowing with alerts. CNN set up in the penthouse studio, she said, her voice calm but urgent. But the server hack's escalating. Client data's hitting the dark web. The board's freaking out and the FBI called twice. FBI? I stepped into the elevator, my thrift store jacket still damp. What do they want? They think the leak's an inside job. They're asking for access to our logs. And you. I clenched my jaw. An inside job meant someone I trusted had betrayed me. The elevator dinged, opening to the studio, where CNN's crew bustled. The host, a sharp-eyed woman named Lena Carter, greeted me with a handshake. Eleanor Harper, the cybersecurity world's dark horse. The board thought my reckless public profile, thanks to Bloomberg, was a liability. I slipped into my public face, explaining how Quantum Pulse's AI stopped cyber attacks before they began. But halfway through, Maya slipped me a note. Board meeting called. They want you out as CEO. Now. My stomach twisted, but I kept talking, my voice steady. The board thought my reckless public profile, thanks to Bloomberg, was a liability. They didn't get it. I'd built Quantum Pulse in stealth, outsmarting rivals and spies. I wasn't stepping down because they got cold feet. The interview wrapped, and I headed to my office, a minimalist space with privacy glass and whiteboards covered in algorithms. Maya followed, updating me. Clara's been posting on X, calling you her genius sister. She's trending. Also, your ex, Charles, tried to charm his way past security, said he wants to catch up. I snorted, sitting at my desk. Charles, who called tech nerd territory, and told me to stick to suits. Escort him out. Update the blacklist. Charles, the hedge fund heir my family adored, had dumped me when I chose Quantum Pulse over his Park Avenue life. His sudden interest wasn't nostalgia. It was opportunism. I pulled up the server logs, my fingers flying over the keyboard. The hack was sophisticated, targeting our most sensitive client data, banks, governments, even the Pentagon. Whoever did this knew our systems intimately. My screen flickered. and a new message popped up. No sender. You can't hide what's coming, Ellie. Sentinel will burn you down. Sentinel, my next project, an AI that predicted cyber attacks years in advance, wasn't public yet. Only my inner circle knew its name. The traitor was closer than I thought. A knock interrupted my thoughts. Rachel Kwan, the venture capitalist who'd bet big on Quantum Pulse, strode in, her tailored blazer as sharp as her reputation. Eleanor, that CNN interview was gold. I've got investors begging to double down. Let's talk expansion, Asia, Europe, the works. I leaned back, masking my stress. Love the enthusiasm, Rachel, but we've got a fire to put out. Server breach, client data's leaking, and the board's circling like vultures. Her eyes narrowed. Handle the board. Your vision's why I'm here. Anyone else would have buckled by now. Her confidence steadied me, but before I could respond, an alarm blared through the building. Maya burst in. Bomb threat. Called in 5 minutes ago. Police are evacuating the lower floors. My blood ran cold. First, the brakes, the chandelier, the poison, the knife, now this. I grabbed my laptop and followed Maya to the secure bunker in the basement, Rachel close behind. The bunker's steel doors sealed us in. Screens showing live feeds of SWAT sweeping the tower. My phone buzzed. Another anonymous text. You were warned. Step back or Quantum Pulse falls. I showed it to Maya, who was already tracing the signal. It's bouncing through proxies, she said. But I'll crack it. The all clear came an hour later. A false alarm, but the message was clear. Someone wanted me scared. I wasn't. I was pissed. Back in my office, I called Liam. Lock down the servers. Full encryption. And get me everything on the board's moves. Someone's feeding our enemies. He hesitated. Ellie, the FBI's pushing hard. They think you're hiding something about the Pentagon deal. And there's a lawsuit. Cybertech's claiming we stole their AI tech. They're suing for $10 billion, 0 cents. I laughed, bitter. Cybertech? They couldn't code their way out of a paper bag. This is a shakedown. But the timing wasn't random. The hack, the lawsuit, the FBI, the threats, they were coordinated, a noose tightening around Quantum Pulse. I needed answers, and I needed them now. My next stop was the smallest conference room where Clara had been waiting 3 hours, her Prada bag clutched like a shield. Her perfect blowout was wilting, her eyes red. Ellie, really? She snapped as I entered. Making your own sister sit here like a criminal? You're not a criminal, I said, sitting across from her. But you're not innocent either. You and Nathan spent years trashing me. He told investors I was a dreamer with no shot. Want to hear the recordings? Her face crumpled. Recordings? Nathan wouldn't... Did, for 2 years while you smiled at family dinners and called my dreams a phase. I built Quantum Pulse without you, Clara. Without Mom's lectures, Dad's disappointment, Aunt Margaret's gossip. And now you're posting on X like you're proud? Save it. She flinched, tears welling. We didn't know, Ellie. Mom's a wreck. Dad hasn't slept. We thought you were struggling. Why didn't you tell us? Because you didn't believe in me, I said, my voice steel. You saw a failure because that's what you wanted to see. Now you're here because Quantum Pulse is worth $5 billion, 0 cents, and you want a piece. That's not true, she cried, but her eyes darted away. I stood, done with her excuses. As I reached the door, she grabbed my arm. Ellie, wait. Nathan's in trouble. His crypto deals, they're not clean. He owes people. Dangerous people. I pulled free. Then he shouldn't have poisoned my wine. Her gasp followed me out, but I didn't look back. Clara's drama was a distraction. I had a company to save. The governor's meeting was next, a pitch to make Maine a cybersecurity hub. I walked into the State House, my goodwill jacket drawing stares, but my presentation silenced them. Quantum Pulse could transform the state's economy, and the governor was all in. But as I left, my phone buzzed with a tabloid headline. Aunt Margaret claims she mentored tech tycoon Eleanor Harper. I laughed, forwarding it to Maya. Let her spin her lies. They're irrelevant. Back at Quantum Pulse, I found Dad waiting in the lobby, a far cry from the CEO who judged me last night. He wore jeans and a faded sweater, clutching an old satchel. "Ellie," he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard. "Can we talk?" I led him to my office, wary. He took in the whiteboards, the global tickers, the city view. "Your mother's learning Python," he said, almost shy. "Clara's reading about AI ethics. Even I looked up your patents. You filed your first at 17. I never knew." "You never asked?" I said, sitting. "You missed my middle school coding competition. Said you had a board meeting." He winced. "I did, but I was wrong. Your 5th grade project? A firewall that blocked 80% of simulated attacks? I found the certificate in the attic. You were always this force. We didn't see it." His words hit harder than I expected, cracking the wall I'd built, but I wasn't ready to forgive. "Pierce Capital's tanking," I said, blunt. "Your clients want AI. You're here because you need me." "No," he said, pulling papers from his satchel. "My old patents, proposals, even a photo of me at that coding competition, grinning with a trophy. I'm here because I'm proud, not of the money, but of you." I looked away, my throat tight. "Mom wants a family dinner," he added, "to celebrate you." "Like last night's intervention?" I asked, sharp. "No thanks." "Here," I said, standing. "At Quantum Pulse, I'll show you what I built. But Nathan's out, his crypto scams don't get a seat." He nodded. "Fair. Clara's figuring him out. His latest deal cost them millions." "I know," I said. "I bought their debt. She's my sister. I won't let her drown, but she's on her own with him." Dad's eyes widened, but he didn't argue. As he left, Maya rushed in. "Ellie, big problem. A whistleblower's gone public. Says Project Sentinel endangers national security. Congress is launching a probe." My heart sank. Sentinel, my AI crown jewel, was years from deployment. The claim was nonsense, but the timing was devastating. "Find the whistleblower," I said, "and dig into Charles. He's circling for a reason." That night, the family dinner loomed. I stood in Quantum Pulse's top-floor atrium, the city sparkling below. My team had contained the server leak, but the FBI was closing in. The lawsuit was gaining traction, and the bomb threat lingered like a ghost. My phone buzzed. Another anonymous text. "You can't stop what's coming. Sentinel secrets are ours." I traced the message, but it was a dead end. The traitor was still out there, and I was running out of time. The elevator dinged and my family stepped out, awestruck by the atrium's glass dome and holographic displays. Mom, in a simple sweater, looked small without her Dior armor. Clara alone avoided my gaze. Dad carried that satchel, a quiet anchor. Aunt Margaret trailed, her pearls less smug. I led them through Quantum Pulse's labs, showing them AI models that predicted global threats, systems that saved lives. Their jaws dropped. But I wasn't here to gloat. I was here to redefine us. Dinner. I stood at the head of the table. "Quantum Pulse isn't just a company," I said. "It's the future. Project Sentinel will stop wars before they start, save economies before they crash. I built it while you doubted me. But you're here now, and that's a start." Clara's eyes welled. "Ellie, I'm sorry. We were wrong." Mom reached for my hand. "We want to know you, Eleanor. Really know you." Dad set the satchel down, pulling out that old photo. "This girl," he said, voice breaking. "She's still you. We're late, but we're here." I swallowed hard, the weight of their words cracking my armor, but before I could respond, the lights flickered. A low hum filled the room, and the holographic displays flared red. System breach detected. Sentinel core compromised. My heart stopped. The traitor had struck. Live in front of my family. I sprinted to the control room, Maya at my side, as alarms blared. The screens showed Sentinel's code unraveling, a digital bomb set to destroy everything I'd built. "Lock it down!" I shouted, my fingers flying over the console. The hack was internal. Routed through my own office, someone had planted a back door. Someone I'd trusted. Maya traced the signal, her face paling. "Ellie, it's coming from Charles's old access key. He never gave it back." Charles, the charming ex, who'd reappeared, the one I'd dismissed. He wasn't just opportunistic. He was a snake. I slammed the system into lockdown, my AI countermeasures kicking in. The breach stopped, but the damage was done. Sentinel's core was exposed, and the world was watching. I turned to my family, their faces a mix of shock and awe. "This," I said, breathless, "is what I do. This is Quantum Pulse, and I'm not done fighting." They didn't speak, but their eyes said enough. For the first time they saw me, not the failure, not the rebel, but the woman who'd built an empire against all odds. The traitor was out there, Charles' shadow looming, but I wasn't alone anymore. My family, flawed and late, was with me, and as the storm outside finally broke, sunlight piercing the clouds, I felt it. The fire that had carried me through every doubt, every danger. Quantum Pulse would rise, and so would I,